right, everybody, welcome to the Round Robin Comic Book Podcast. The podcast where we discuss 2 old comics and 1 new. That's right?
Just an old comic and a new comic.
Old comic and a new comic, guys. We'll get this down right here soon, right? This week we're going to be reviewing Rob Guillory's Farmhand, number 6. It was written and drawn by Rob Guillory. I'm joined by Nick.
Yep.
And Ryan.
How you doing?
Alright. So...
well, yeah, alright, you know.
Alright, so
what do you guys think?
Ryan?
I love this series. I followed him while he was doing the Chew series, and he started up this Farmhand, and I've been loving it ever since. It was kind of my recommendation. Wanted you guys to check this one out and see how that went, and it lived up to what I was expecting.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to get the other issues for this because I was really confused.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, I don't understand the story. Maybe I should read 1 through 5.
I was like, who is this guy and what is this thing? And
what's going on?
Like when they see the weird tree demon in the beginning, I'm like, what?
And why does Gramps hate the kid, his grandson's friend, so much?
Well, issues 1 through 5 kind of get into that. The whole premise of it is a broken family. Son moves back home, and he broke away from his dad because his dad started doing, I guess, somewhat kind of a government-funded program of growing limbs and other organs and things like that for sale.
So he was Dr. Frankenstein.
He was, and the son wasn't a big fan of it, and bolted off. Now it's kind of about trying to build up that relationship again while all this other crazy stuff is happening in the background. So the first 5 issues is kind of giving the basic line of it, talking about how it all came about, some of the side characters that are getting introduced into the series and everything. And this one kind of picked up with a new story arc. And it was supposed to be all self-contained growth, and they're realizing that that's not so much happening anymore. So they're adjusting as they're going here, I guess.
So like they said in the book, like he has to say the word that it will make him grow, so that's not really working anymore, right?
It is to an extent. As far as they know it, that's how it's working still.
Okay.
But clearly something happened where something got out. I'm kind of the belief right now that it is like an infection that's getting passed from creature to creature.
Right, that to have the implant?
Yep.
Right, okay.
And this did a little bit of a jump ahead from issue 5 to this issue, so it kind of jumped ahead a little bit. So we are seeing all these refugees showing up in the town, and then we had one of the government sites showing up to make sure everything is correct and appropriate considering all this stuff is running rampant. It's clear that the father has no idea that this stuff is getting loose.
So it's been like 2 weeks since I've read this, and I think the biggest takeaway for me was the paper quality. Just opening it up, just feeling it. It's the paper is nuts. It's like really nice, like heavy paper.
Yeah.
Unlike that old newspaper that they used to print it on.
I miss the old newspaper.
Everything's clear, and there's no coloring outside the lines, like there used to be, especially in old Charlton comics.
Yep.
It's just like printed on shit newspaper.
I like the animation too. It's not bad. I've seen worse. Check out Detective Comics number 1000. It starts off with Jim Lee in the first 8 pages, and then it goes to somebody, and it just looks like shit. The comic just goes.
I also have to laugh every time I see somebody in a company T-shirt. Like Marvel always used to put somebody in a Spider-Man T-shirt all the time, and then this guy in the church is wearing an Image T-shirt.
Yeah, he He does a great job with. He's got a sense of humor in this, and that's one of the reasons I like it. I always like to try to find a comic that has that sense of humor in it. Makes it a little more enjoyable instead of just this standard doom and gloom type thing. He did it all through Chew. He does it through the Farmhand, and he always makes reference to other characters and stuff in his universe. So there are characters that are showing up in here that are referenced from Chew.
Okay.
So it's kind of all connected, and it makes it a lot cooler if you've read that series too.
How do you spell Chew?
Chew.
Chew.
Yep.
That's exactly how
That is it.
He's
Okay.
a detective, right? Who has to eat part of the dead body to figure out what he's going to look for?
That's awesome.
If he eats something, he finds out the history of it. So his only weakness is beets. Can't beat it. I can't blame him there. But he does at some point kind of go into cannibalism and eats a finger to find out how the person died. There's somebody that has a power of being able to cook anything, and as she's describing it, you taste it from just her description. There's a cyborg in it. There is a rooster that does kung fu.
Oh, I gotta have it now.
It is one of the most entertaining series I've ever read, and anytime he's attached to anything, I've tried to check it out just because of the enjoyment from that original series.
Yeah, definitely go find the graphic novels for that because you're not going to afford the issues.
Yeah, I'm going with trade paperbacks now.
Yeah.
More.
Because I was like, oh, even when it was like issue 8 came out, and I was like, oh, I want to look for that, and it was like $30, and I'm like, I am not paying that for a comic
Yeah,
book
no,
right now.
I'll look for trades.
Yeah, it's going to be the cheapest way to go. I think the second prints are even fairly high on that number one. But there's even a point where they jumped ahead 20 issues, I believe, and told a story up to that point, or from that point on. And then the next series, they jumped back and covered what happened in those 20 issues that you missed.
Okay.
So it's really entertaining. That's how I'm feeling about it. Farmhand. It's same type of thing.
So now we're moving on. So to Excalibur number 1, 2, and graphic novel The Sword is Drawn.
I had written down here. I had a whole intro for this. I guess we should go into more detail why we wanted to do this show and who our favorite comic book characters are.
Like of all time?
Of
Favorite
all
comic
time,
book characters?
yeah, of all time comic book characters. And maybe one or two that you're interested in now.
Why don't you go first?
Me?
Sure.
All right. I am probably the only one here in this room that is an X-Men fan.
You're probably a bigger X-Men fan than I am, so
Probably,
yeah.
because that's what I was introduced to first. And that's my thing. So, when you said Excalibur, 3 of the characters in Excalibur are some of my favorite characters. So I love Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat, Sprite, whatever they wanted to call her that week. Because her name changed like every comic book. And then Mr. Kurt Wagner, the old Kurt Wagner, not the priest.
We'll talk about him
Yeah,
when we go through.
we'll talk about him
Yeah.
later. But mine, I liked Wolverine before he was cool. And Deadpool. I liked Deadpool before everything went insane with him.
When he was Mr. Pockets and just a ripoff of...
Yeah, and had no
Deathstroke?
feet. Had no feet.
You know they came out with a Mr. Pockets comic, right?
Did they?
Yes. Rob Liefeld brought it back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we should do a review on Mr. Pockets.
I was a
Good
fan.
luck finding it.
Yeah.
I liked Cannonball, Sunspot, the New Mutants. Those were when they turned into X-Force. I read X-Force more than I did X-Men back then. And Miss Marvel. I've always liked Carol Danvers, or Captain Marvel now. Silver Surfer, Alpha Flight. How about you, Nick?
Huh. Well,
We'll be here all week. I do like Batman, and I've recently Hawkman's become one of my favorites in recent times.
well, let's see. I got appendicitis when I was in 4th grade, and my mom got me a whole bunch of comics, and brought him up to the hospital, and there was Daredevil and an Uncanny X-Men and an Iron Man. And out of all of them, I think the one that I related to most was Daredevil, because
Nice.
it was an all silent issue. Like there was no writing in it. Like he was just going through a haunted, like a house that was trying to kill him.
He's a good one. I'll have to put him on my list too. I like Daredevil.
And then I don't know. I started I wanted to get into comics, so I got like this Marvel Masterworks of Fantastic Four, and I fell in love with the Kirby and Stan Lee stuff. And
just to let you know, our podcast room is basically a comic book library in here. So, and he's got like long boxes out the ass out in the other room.
Yeah, we make a reference to something, and Nick's like, "Oh yeah, I got that."
I got that. He'll go right. He'll go right to it. He'll get. Here you go. Yeah, it's nice because I don't really ever have to buy anything. I'm just like, "Hey, you got this?" And he's like, "Yeah, here, go ahead and borrow it." It's nice.
I don't know. I read everything.
I'm not making fun of you.
I'm just like, whatever. Punisher. I was a huge Batman fan, like in the '89, and then I was just like overdone with Batman, and I was like, you know what?
I think every kid our age was into Batman in '89.
And then I started reading Justice League International and Justice League that, and I found Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, and I was like, holy crap, these guys are awesome. And I don't know, I like everything. Like
I do like everything. I do too.
I like She-Hulk better than Hulk.
But mostly X-Men's is my favorite.
Nova, well, maybe not now after reading that.
Blue Blazes!
The old Captain Marvel, even Shazam Captain Marvel. We should do an episode of all the Captain Marvel knockoffs.
That would be interesting.
Anybody who has a magic word that turns into somebody else.
Yeah, I did post out there on Twitter which comic book characters would they like us to listen to or talk about, and who was your favorite.
Anybody respond?
No.
Nobody does.
Nobody does ever. So
I
Nick likes everybody.
Well,
who's your absolute? I know Nova, but you kind of changed your mind last week, so I was wondering if you had a new one.
Shouldn't we better have a question? Ask Nick who he hates.
Well, we're gonna get to that. We're getting to that part. There's gonna be a what grinds my gears segment.
Gotcha. All right.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I put that in there because I thought it was hilarious. You're like,
it grinds my gears.
This really grinds my gears.
Okay. Yeah. Gee, Ryan.
How about
who's
Ryan?
Your favorite?
It's the Green Arrow, right?
Oh, so close. Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Who? Which one?
Nova wannabe? Yeah, I know.
I'm going to get a lot of hate on this. Kyle Rayner is my favorite.
Kyle Rayner's yours? Okay.
Very nice.
That's
who
cool. Was in the book when I started reading it.
Yep.
And I
it's usually whoever's in there.
Yeah.
It's like who's your Doctor Who?
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know, with his powers, he was a little more creative than everybody else. So it made it a lot more interesting for me to read that, and then been backtracking ever since. But like Green Arrow,
if you had said Guy Gardner, I would have just got up and walked out.
Oh,
Guy Gardner's a great comedy piece. Hawkman,
read the JLI.
Yeah. Ghost Rider, Darkhawk.
Darkhawk's good.
Yeah, I'm pretty much open to any of them. I'm not a huge Batman or Superman guy, which I know that kind of goes.
It's all right.
Left field on a lot of people, but yeah, no. But definitely anything Green Lantern, I'm going to read that.
I get the Batman thing, like since he became the give me 15 minutes and I can prepare for anything,
right?
Kind of character. Like in the 70s when he was actually a detective is when I really liked him, but now I can't even stand to read him. I mean, it's like I'm just going to pull this thing out of my belt.
Yep.
And I'm going to. It's like you don't even do any detective work. How would you call yourself a detective? You run after a crime. You don't detect before the crime happens.
I had been looking for the Court of Owls. I was telling Nick that I've been really wanting to read the Court of Owls.
Right.
And we were down in Kansas City for the con this weekend, and I found it for $10.
Nice.
And I was like, I can't pass that up. I almost read the whole thing last night. I had to force myself to go to bed. I really liked it. So
yeah, Scott Snyder did a fantastic job on that, and I'm liking what Tom King's doing with the new Batman series.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to say Booster Gold's probably up there too. I really like Booster Gold.
I really wasn't into DC. I'm just now getting into DC. The only one I really read in DC was Batman and Green Lantern. So I'm trying to expand out my DC now because
favorite villain.
Oh, favorite villain. Porcupine.
Porcupine? Okay, good. Yeah. Kirk?
I'm thinking. Come back to me.
Ultron?
Yeah.
Not the movie Ultron. The real Ultron. His mouth doesn't move, and he's not voiced by James Spader. And he's not funny either.
No, mine. I love the Fantastic Four, so anytime Galactus shows up in the Fantastic Four, I always have to pick it up.
Oh, so that movie must have really pissed you off.
I haven't seen the movie.
You haven't seen the movie?
No. The new one?
No.
The old one with the Silver Surfer in it.
The Rise of the Silver Surfer.
I don't remember. I blocked that out.
That's good.
I blocked it out. So
it's very, very good.
It's got my favorite villain, and it's got one of my favorite characters in it.
Yeah.
And I blocked it out.
You don't want to remember that movie.
No, I don't. So, and how can Johnny Storm be Captain America? I'm confused.
He is at least a legit comic book nerd. He has been in so many films. He was in Scott Pilgrim. He was in The Losers, Captain America.
I guess that's why you never see Johnny Storm and Captain America in the same room.
I was hoping that they would take the android from Captain America, the first movie, the first Avenger that they had,
Yep.
and give him Captain America's face. So, he gave up being Captain America, but he's still going to play the Human Torch.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Oh, we did this as an homage to Captain America. We gave the Human Torch Captain America's face.
Could be in the new Avengers movie.
Could be.
Maybe they go back in time and they grab the Human Torch.
Sure, why not?
Come on, Marvel.
I'm thinking with Marvel getting Fox, you may actually get a good Fantastic Four movie.
Well, the people
And
that they've picked for
good-
it already are okay.
And a good X-Men movie.
What? This one coming out looks great. And so does New Mutants.
These most recent X-Men movies have been fantastic.
We talked about this last time. Not with you, but on Thursday with Arn. My favorite story of all time is the Dark Phoenix saga. I love that book. I don't want it ruined. This will be the third time they've ruined it.
We'll see.
It's got a chance.
So you're saying it's got a chance?
It's got a chance.
Still got a chance.
I didn't like Apocalypse. I didn't like Days of Futures Past. I liked First Class.
Yeah. I didn't like what they did with Havoc, though.
No.
That didn't make any damn sense.
No.
We need a Summers brother. Like, do you? Couldn't you just grab their dad?
Yeah. So, I don't know.
You took the younger brother and put him in the 60s. And you took Scott and put him in the 90s.
I think you loaned me the latest X-Men movie, and I watched it, and I was like, I wish I hadn't watched it. It's pretty sad that cosplayers can do a better job with Apocalypse than a major movie studio.
The Apocalypse was not great, but I thought the story overall was pretty good.
I will say Galactus is number one, but Apocalypse is my other one for villain. In those early X Factor issues, whenever X Factor and Apocalypse would go at it, it was always really good. Didn't like Age of Apocalypse though. That was horrible.
I actually just recently read that, and I was not.
It's horrible.
It wasn't great.
Yeah, I don't remember it much. I remember Scott Summer having one eye, Wolverine having one hand.
Yep. And Jean Grey was in Little Wolverine.
Right. I think that's...
They did give Blink. I like Blink. She's one of my favorite characters. And then they killed her. Like they always do.
And then she became like a fanboy favorite where everybody was like, oh, we gotta have Blink in this. We gotta have Blink in this. It's like, you don't need Blink.
She was a really good character. I didn't know they brought her back after Age. I thought
they put her in the TV show. They put her in one of the movies.
I stopped reading for a while. And then I didn't know they brought her back.
And it's like people are like, I liked Morph. Like, Morph was a fucking cartoon character, man. He does not exist. He was made for the cartoon.
For, 30 seconds of that episode, and then...
And people are still like, I like Morph. I'm like, he's not an X-Man, guys. He's a cartoon character.
You know who doesn't get enough love? Morrow.
Oh.
Oh, God.
Who's the other one? Leech.
Yeah.
No, Artie and Leech. Who's the one that could take the worms out of his bodies? I liked Artie and Leech, but the dude that had like the...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's in there around the same time as Morrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on his name.
It's okay, because he sucked anyway. So should we talk about Excalibur?
Sure.
While we're talking X-Man stuff?
All right. So Excalibur was an offshoot of X-Men. It didn't. The thing that I looked up, I have the little Marvel trading cards from back in the 90s, so I just took the bio off of there. But the X-Men, I'm using air quotes here, died in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, so I'm not an X-Men guy at all.
Mhm.
Don't know a whole lot about. I mean, I can tell you who the characters are, but I don't know their history or anything. They referenced that a number of times. I have no idea what happened to the X-Men. They died in Dallas.
They faked
fighting.
their death. They were fighting. I can't remember the name of the guy. I'm drawing a complete blank. But yeah, they fake their death so they can go underground and be able to strike at their enemies.
If that was the case, wouldn't
Kitty Pryde and Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler and Shadowcat were the only two that
but wouldn't
survived.
Gray still feel them? Baby Phoenix
She's dead at this.
in
Oh,
here?
not her. The other.
Yeah, the original
Jean-
Phoenix.
Jean Grey.
I'm blanking on what her name was.
Jean Grey. Or
Jean Grey, and then
Rachel Summers.
Rachel Summers. Wouldn't she be able to detect them?
You'd think so,
You'd
because
think
she's
so.
a Phoenix or
She's a telepath. You'd think she'd
She's
be able to know her friends were alive.
an Omega level mutant with telepathic
Yeah.
abilities. Probably should be able to find her.
Should, yeah.
Because it sounds like the only thing that she can't detect are those werewolves or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
detected Nathan.
Yeah, she
The
knew.
baby.
She knew Cable
Was in trouble.
was in trouble. Yeah.
Huh.
But she didn't know her family, the X-Men, were alive. I'm not sure. I came in to the X-Men in like 91, and they were just in the Extinction Agenda, where they just came back to life,
Sure.
you know, and the New Mutants are mad at them for abandoning them, and so I'm not sure why Rachel wouldn't have been able to. Adversary is who it was.
Adversary.
They were fighting Adversary.
Well, it wouldn't help the plot if she could detect them.
Yeah.
No, and that's absolutely fine. In this time frame of these books, you got used to seeing like, look at this previous issue of this or that, so you kind of knew what to go back to see what the
That's
story was, and that
what I
didn't really
miss.
happen in this.
I miss with old Marvel is they had those boxes that would like, this happened in issue number blah blah blah.
And they'd always put the editor's name in there, so
name.
the editor knows
Yes,
where to
so-
go.
Yeah. So, they probably should have, but they didn't.
Because what's funny, coming up in, I think it's Excalibur number 4, when they meet Arcade, there's a box that says, please see Marvel Team Up number 36 and 37,
I saw that, yeah.
and Classic X-Men number blah, 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 blah. And it's like, why not Uncanny X-Men number blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah?
Why
But
wouldn't you
it's
put
Classic
it's
X-Men.
classic X-Men? Yeah.
I think it's probably because it was right on it's probably right on like their editor's table.
Yeah.
Was that Uncanny?
Well, that is probably going to be a little easier to track down because it's more of a recent release.
Right.
I have here. Excalibur was blah blah. Next, the first appearance was Excalibur Special Edition in 1988. The original roster was Shadowcat, Phoenix, Nightcrawler, Captain Britain, and Megan. When rampaging monsters from another dimension descended on London, these mighty mutants stand as one against them. Achieving a decisive victory, each was ready to return to their solitary ways when Phoenix suggested they combine their talents and become a team. Fighting for their shared dream of a better world, now as Excalibur, this band of heroes protect Great Britain and its people from the unusual headquarters, a haunted lighthouse off the coast of England.
Which is kind of like the TARDIS, because inside it's bigger than it is on the outside.
Yep.
Because, Captain Britain always has some weird crap going on.
So,
Like, he's always just a weird character. Like, there's so much backstory for Captain Britain that you should know before you read this, but it wasn't even printed in America, so why would you know all this backstory?
Yeah. So we can go into a little bit of biography of the characters, a little bit, and Nick can finish with Captain Britain.
Oh, can I go last?
That's what I'm saying. You can go last.
Um,
Because I did Shadowcat, Nightcrawler, and Phoenix. Yeah, you can go last, because I thought you said you were going to do Megan and Captain Britain.
Megan's actually not that hard, but Captain Britain has like
she's a
40
fairy.
years of history.
She's a fairy.
Well, she's a mutant.
A mutant.
Did
shape
she
changer.
show up later in the original Captain Britain series?
Yeah, she showed up in like 84.
Because they're in love, and you're like,
In the British-
how did they fall in love?
She's swimming with dolphins. The next thing I know, I'm like, I don't have a clue where this character came from.
Right, and then she's trying to make out with Nightcrawler
Yeah.
later on. We'll talk about that episode or that that book in another episode.
Yep.
And my
So
special feelings that it gave me when I was 15.
I thought she was a hottie when I was that age, you know? The first one I'm going to do is Kitty Pryde, code name Shadowcat, Sprite.
Name them all?
No, because I couldn't remember him, so I just put blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
The most common one to me is Shadowcat or Kitty Pryde. I
Sprite.
haven't heard.
Sprite was, if you ever, which you probably haven't, if you read the early ones when she becomes an X-Men, they call her Sprite at first. She doesn't really go by Shadowcat until...
Yeah, I think I read that, and I don't even remember because it was in the Days of Future Past trade.
Yep.
And I don't remember that, but that's okay.
Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat. Her first appearance was in Uncanny X-Men number 129 in January of 1980. And the nice little biography that they had on the card for her was, most teenage girls don't walk through walls, help save the world, and hang around with pet dragons, but most teenage girls aren't Shadowcat. Her mutant metabolism allows her to phase the molecules of her body, making her as intangible as a ghost. She can pass through objects, walk on air, and make things she touches do the same. She's one of my favorites. So when they brought her into Excalibur, I was like, oh, cool. Alright, so the next one I did was Rachel Summers, codename Phoenix. First appearance, X-Men, Uncanny X-Men number 141, exactly a year later from Kitty Pryde in 1981, January of 1981. Rachel Summers is the second mutant telepath telekinetic to bear the awesome name of Phoenix. She is a refugee from a terrible future.
Your favorite storyline?
Yeah.
Mojo.
Shut up. It's the only thing that ever came out of Mojo besides Shatterstar.
Long Shot?
I didn't like Long
You don't
Shot.
like Long Shot?
No.
Maybe we'll do that book.
Oh, thanks. One in which her parents, Cyclops and Jean Grey, and nearly all super beings have been slaughtered. Fleeing back through time to the present day, she has dedicated her life and near godlike powers to preventing that future from coming to pass. First as an X-Men, now as a member of Excalibur. And then they had like a little did you know. The future world that Phoenix fled is one of many possible futures, and seems to be an alternate reality to our own. And then Kurt Wagner, aka Nightcrawler. His first appearance was Giant Size X-Men number 1 in May of 1975. Demonic in appearance, but heroic in nature. Nimble Nightcrawler is an artful acrobat whose tricky talent for teleportation is something to see. With a bombastic BAMF! Love that. BAMF! And a brief bouquet of brimstone, this marvelous blue mutant is gone in a flash, but back right behind you or up to 3 miles away. Add this freaky flair for transit to his stylish fighting skills, and it's easy to see how he fits right in as a full-fledged member of the tenacious super team Excalibur. And then their little, did you know? Nightcrawler is a masterful fencer, who can duel adroitly with his tail. Which you see it in the book. He's got 2 swords in his hand and 1 in his tail,
Yep.
and he's fighting everybody. So he was pretty badass back in the day before they
Now
neutered him and turned him into a priest.
Well, wasn't he always a very religious character?
He was, but it wasn't
To that point.
to the point where he was.
Like he was kind of questioning the religion kind of thing a little bit, trying to figure out which way was
Never really
They
came
didn't
up that
really
much.
bring it up until like recently.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I seem to really remember that for some reason.
No, with Nightcrawler, he was always the swashbuckling
Errol Flynn.
type character.
Now, I've heard, is the mother Mystique?
That's retconned because they made it to where Mystique and Azazel were his parents, and I don't remember them saying that. He was always looking for his parents,
Right.
but they never said it was Azazel. And
There was even rumors that his dad was Beast.
yeah,
Also, like,
Yeah.
oh, who's the new blue furry guy in the Marvel universe?
Yeah.
Beast.
At
So-
one point, was Sabretooth in there someplace? Because I seem to remember that too, but I could be making that up, like most of the X-Men universe.
Yeah, I don't know.
well,
It's always like, hey, he's Wolverine's brother. No, he's not. Hey, he's Wolverine's brother. No, he's not.
nope, they're not. They are. They are. They're not. They're
They're
not. They're not. They are. They are. They're not.
They're just cousins.
Identical cousins.
Nice Donna Reed reference.
Yeah. Pull that out, Mike. Yeah. Pull that out of the 1950s.
So that's all I had for those. I've decided to give you the most time because Captain Britain has the most history here.
Actually, Nightcrawler actually does, but I don't think Nightcrawler's had like 8 comic book series.
No,
Not nearly
I
as
remember.
convoluted.
I remember back in the day, I bought one. It was from like the 80s, and it was Nightcrawler. I don't have it anymore. I think my brother has it. The
4-issue miniseries.
4-issue miniseries of it. I don't. Has he had his own book?
Yes.
Has he?
Yes, he has. It lasted like 5 issues and crashed, and then they did another relaunch of it, and that lasted like 6 or 7 issues, and it crashed. So Nightcrawler cannot sustain his own book.
He's more. I see him more of a. I could see that he couldn't carry his own book.
He's a great side piece.
He's a
Side
side piece.
character.
He's a side piece, especially for Megan.
He's got a lot of side pieces in the X-Men comic, so.
Yeah, he does.
There's that, I don't remember what issue it was, but he's sitting there on his bed naked, and he's got his Bamf doll over his crotch, and he's waiting for his girlfriend to come in. That's actually an issue.
That doesn't seem priest-like at all.
Yeah, Nightcrawler was a pimp back in the day. He was trying to get everybody.
You see anything you like?
Hey, Fraulein, touch my monkey. It bit me.
So Captain Britain was created in 1976 by Chris Claremont and Herb Trimpe. And Marvel wanted to expand their comic line to the UK by using British authors and British artists and publish only in Britain. And they wanted to create a new character that would go over there. So they created Brian Braddock, who I have to say is probably the most boring character that I've read in a long time, because this book, I have 2 of them, hardcover, The Birth of a Legend and Siege of Camelot. They are the most boring comics I've ever read in my life. They're not good.
They're not. He's not boring. He's British.
No.
The Birth of a Legend, I got that, and I did read it. It took me about 3 years.
Yeah.
Because there's just not a whole lot to grab onto there.
It's
yeah.
dry, and he fights the same villain for 8 issues.
Yeah.
So what you're
And
saying
then they go
is
on and they meet Captain America, and then Captain America fights the Red Skull with him, and
I should borrow
I
that
did
book
like
if I
that
need.
look.
I need to get to sleep
Right.
one night.
his original costume is great.
His original
I
costume
like his
with
original
the staff,
costume.
I thought that was fantastic. The character itself was very boring.
Yes. And they changed the costume because they said it looked more like a advertising piece for bread than it does for an actual comic book character. So they changed him from
What
the
bread?
lion on his chest to the British flag.
Really?
bread?
It looked like he was an advertisement for like some kind of food.
I don't see bread when I look at that costume.
Well,
How often do you go over to Britain and
look at
maybe
bread.
their bread
Maybe there
over
is a
there in
bread
Britain
over
with a
there.
lion on it?
There could be. We could. Our Great Britain friends could.
Help me out with
write
this.
in and help us out with this. Why it looked like a loaf of bread? I don't know.
So then they introduced a character named Courtney Ross, and she became Cap's girlfriend. She bought every ticket to the Meet Captain Britain event, and she won, of course, because she bought every ticket, and she became his girlfriend. She later on was revealed in Excalibur #1, like she dyed her hair when she was younger, so she wouldn't portray the dumb blonde. Like she'd have like brunette hair through the original series, and then all of a sudden she's platinum blonde later on.
Blondes do have more fun.
Yeah, like 15-year-old me was just like,
She's
damn.
hot. Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, 15-year-old me thought Megan was the shit. Yeah.
And, well, Megan hasn't shown up yet.
Or Kitty Pryde. I had
Yeah.
a thing for Kitty Pryde.
There's alternate versions of Courtney Ross through the universe. There's Saturnine, who became the Majextrix of the alternate universes. So she was controlling all the different, like, Captain Britain Corps. And the Captain Britain Corps is a totally different thing. Like, there's a Captain Britain for every universe, right? So if there's an infinite amount of universes, there's an infinite amount of Captain Britons. And our Captain Britain is the Captain Britain from Earth 616, and that's where the Universe 616 came from, was from the Alan Moore run of the Captain Britain comic.
That explains a lot. Alan Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he created the 616 universe because he went...
So was this Marvel's attempt to do like DC and have like different...
Who knows what Alan Moore was doing?
It just sounds like how it is in
I
DC,
think
where
before
there's
that time,
Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3.
Oh. No, I think before that time, like, Marvel had like one universe.
Yeah.
And like Moore was like, well, I'm just going to fuck it up because I want to take Captain Britain and put him in a different universe. And then I'm going to kill him. Then I'm going to bring him back. And then, yeah, it was just like a big clusterfuck. Because his origin is just so messed up. Like, he's died 3 times to help him learn to be a better hero. But every time he comes back, like, he's worse.
He's douchier than before.
God. Okay, so...
Couldn't he just like follow Spider-Man around for a little bit?
He should.
They had plenty of team-ups.
Right,
So.
yeah. But no, he comes back and he's more powerful and he becomes an alcoholic. He's just a giant douche.
I really liked it when Nightcrawler
I love the character.
Threw him in the water.
But
I got a question about that later.
There's a scene in the Excalibur, is it issue 1?
I think so.
Where Nightcrawler is just berating him because he's drunk.
Yep.
And you're like, if you know how powerful Captain Britain is, you're just like, holy fuck, Nightcrawler's got some balls on him. And he's just like telling him he's a drunk and he's an idiot. And,
and
just
if you want an apology, earn it.
He's just like,
No,
it's a sword is drawn, right?
Is this where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, that was in his sword was drawn. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you just pretty much just berated Thor level comic book character, right? Thor level hero just for being drunk. Like, oh my god. Well, his sister just died.
Yep. Or supposedly died, apparently.
Right.
She died, and she comes back as a Japanese woman.
Yeah. We're not even going to talk about Psylocke. Yeah, because she was part of the Captain Britain Corps too.
Yeah.
What?
And yeah, she was one of the. She had a uniform and everything, just like he has.
When did this happen? Because I thought it went from one annual or something, and then she just turned into Psylocke and was going. I didn't realize
There she is.
I did not know that existed.
Yeah, she got a costume and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And then she joined the X-Men and then died and then came back as a Japanese one.
And then she died again several years later and came back.
Now, with the Captain Britain originally, wasn't that a magazine style book before it became like so it was like a 2-in-1 kind of thing, right?
Right. Yeah. It. I think it had like Fantastic Four. It was a Captain Britain and the Fantastic Four, and then it became Spider-Man and Captain Britain and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was just like, because over there, their comics are like usually magazine forms,
Right.
and there's like 3 or 4 different stories in them, which makes it really hard to read some of these.
I imagine.
Because you're like, where does this end? What is this? Why is it recapping right in the middle of the story? Courtney Ross became, like, there's a different one for Saturnine, and then there's like Saturnine, who's like this weird fascist Nazi Courtney Ross.
Yep.
She appears later on in Excalibur.
Yep.
Like, issue 5, she kills Courtney Ross and takes her.
Mm-hmm.
Over.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay.
That's
I
Sat.
did not realize that was like the same.
Saturnine.
Yeah. So Courtney Ross has this weird backstory. They kind of treat her like shit, and like Excalibur, like she's just a disposable character. Like, well, it's kind of sad. And Saturnine uses the TechNet as her bounty hunters.
Which is this Gatecrasher and those guys, right?
Right.
Okay. And they were involved with Captain Britain at some point
Mm-hmm.
earlier on. That's why Megan knew who Captain Brit or Gatecrasher was.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a, like I'm saying, there's like a history for Captain Britain before.
I missed the reference to those books where it does say, check this out so you know it.
Yeah, they
Because
didn't do it
you off
because
cold in this thing.
they didn't do it because you wouldn't have been able to find them. Be like, oh, find Captain Britain #1 UK magazine.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to find it here.
And that's fine. Give like a one-panel backstory.
No,
Do
they
like-
just
do
shove
like a
you cold
flashback.
into this.
Yeah, they do.
I
It
was so
is
confused
weird.
through most of this, and I've read it a number of times. And I'm still trying to figure out some of the stuff I was reading.
And the Crazy Gang, like
That interested me.
Hmm.
and the Werewolves. Werewolves are some of my favorite like villains, like because they're eloquent. You know, they're like
And they have that humor with them. Again,
Uh-huh.
I appreciated that.
they're just gonna rip out your insides and just wear your skin.
Yeah, that's decent.
And then fight over, like, oh, who has the better skins? And
Let me go out and get a better one.
yeah. Here, you can have this blue one. Megan showed up around 1984, 85 as a young mutant who lived on the moors and was abused by her parents. They thought she was a freak, and they didn't teach her anything. So she's essentially illiterate. She can't read. She's addicted to television.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that, and I saw her really crappy drawing of saying her note to Brian that she's leaving.
Going
I'm
to
like, okay,
going to Kitty.
Yeah.
Going to see Kitty. Yep.
She ends up marrying Captain Britain at the end of the series.
really? Okay.
Not quite sure what happens to her after that, but in like Excalibur 125, so they get married.
Okay.
Even after she tries to diddle Nightcrawler.
To be fair, Nightcrawler is a stud. He's got the way with the ladies.
All right, so I think we're good.
All right, so
Let's get into the issues.
okay, we'll do the issues and then we'll do grind my gears after.
Okay.
After the issues.
I want to start with, let's just start with the swords drawn, right?
Okay.
So this is written by Chris Claremont, and penciler is Alan Davis, and the inker is Paul Neary. So it starts out that Kitty is having a nightmare about being in a movie studio, and just weird crap's happening. Like, and then it seems like Nightcrawler has the same nightmare, right?
Yeah, they both have the same nightmare.
And
Kitty's having a hard time with.
It shows Kitty's nightmare, and Nightcrawler just talks about it when they meet up.
right, and then you see that Phoenix getting drawn and quartered, which is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
He just got her around the neck, and then it's just the werewolves that come after her, like just hunting her. And then you meet Megan, which is pretty funny because she's just with the like her face is all distorted, and she's going with the dolphins and stuff. And there's really no backstory for her at all in this issue, other than she's in love with Captain Britain, and he's a complete dickhead when you first meet him. Like, he's drunk and he's just super pissed.
Yeah.
So you kind of wonder if Megan has that Stockholm syndrome of being the girl with the abusive boyfriend. Because she's like, maybe it's my fault. No, maybe it's just his.
Yeah.
Well, also being a fairy, maybe not used to that kind of thing at all,
Right.
too. So,
Right. And then you see, like, my favorite interpretation of Nightcrawler, the swashbuckler.
Practicing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how to say
They're,
it. Like,
they're recovering on Muir Isle.
pretty much trying to commit suicide.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Which later on is like, wow, that's not very priestly of you.
Since Catholics, it's bad for you to commit suicide if you're Catholic.
he was still trying to find his way.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Kitty's having PTSD because her and Nightcrawler are the only ones that survived.
Yep, and then the TechNet come in, and they're looking for Rachel, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so pretty much they get attacked by the TechNet, and they get abducted, and the werewolves show up again. They're hunting.
Well, everybody gets abducted except for Nightcrawler.
Right.
Right.
And then he goes back to Captain Britain. It's like, I need your help.
That's where I'm confused, because Nightcrawler shows up, and he's all relaxed. I'm just going to throw Captain Britain into the water, let him drown for all I care. Oh, by the way, everybody got kidnapped. I would think there would be a little more urgency to...
Right. Like, they actually have coffee first.
Here, I'm going to pour you a cup of coffee, Captain. Yes, I need your help. My friends are dying.
That's where I was getting very confused. It's like, I would think there would be a little more urgency to the matter. I understand you need to wake him up or something, but can't you, like...
You throw him in the water, and then you go make coffee.
And have a nice little chat.
Right.
Some scrumpets, maybe?
And then you push him so hard you break the wall. Like, he literally broke the wall behind him.
Yeah, he did.
And then, yeah, the TechNet come around, and they abduct everybody.
They catch up with Rachel, and
Yep.
they get her.
Then they all learn to fight like a team, and then they defeat the TechNet, and then they supposedly become a team after that. For, like, a year that you don't even know where these characters went.
Yep.
'Cause they're like, hey, let's put this graphic novel out, and let's make a new team, but let's not have the issues out for another year.
I like one of my favorite scenes is when Kitty is eaten by the werewolves, and then she's like, "Let me out of here!"
Well, that's later on.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not in this one. Yeah, that's in that. Okay. My bad. We'll get into that. Never mind. See, I read it 2 weeks ago, so I don't remember it properly.
Getting into the issues, I did love how they have the picture of the characters on the back
Right.
instead of the ads.
Instead of ads, like it would be
It's
like
fantastic.
that's a. I don't think Marvel would do that anymore because that's a huge advertising space.
Yeah, they'd be like, yeah, we need that spot.
But you don't like when I was little. I like when I read this, and I'm like, issue 1, you get introduced to the Crazy Gang, which their name sums it up. They're based off of Alice in Wonderland characters. Tweedledope.
Tweedledope,
Tweedledope is great.
Tweedledope is great.
Looks like grape ape.
Yep. And then you get is it Gateway? Is that the robot's name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that the one that joins them eventually and is the one that can teleport them through?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one thing Claremont did really well is he did a slow burn on some of these storylines, and you just had to keep going to find out what the purpose of it was.
Yep.
And even there's a cop in here, like the detective. He's actually from the original Captain Britain issues, like the guy in the green suit.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually in there. The other thing I love about old comics is looking at the ads for mail order comics and seeing the prices of them.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's like, oh, I could have bought Silver Surfer #1 for $15 in 1989.
Yep.
You know, something like that. And it's just like, jeez. Now, like the first appearance of Spider-Man's black suit is $1.50.
Now it's worth a buttload more than that.
Yep.
Third print of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
$5.
$5.
Now that print is very expensive. Wolverine miniseries or new series, $1.50.
Mm-hmm. Some of them have like if you look at the top, new Wolverine comics 1 for $1.50, or the Investor Special 10 for $12.50 because they're speculators even back then. And Excalibur is spelled wrong. They spelled it like the Age of X-Men or the Age of Apocalypse. The X-Caliber.
They had to do that because of cost savings.
Probably they didn't have enough room.
Yeah, just there's a hostage situation and Kitty has to deal with it, and she dresses up like a ghost.
Yeah,
and
scares the shit out of me.
It's
awesome.
funny.
It's awesome. I like the guy trying to hit on Rachel, the schmarmy little bastard.
He keeps on popping up throughout, too.
Yeah. Oh, she's thinking about me.
Your lips say that, my darling. And Captain Britt's like, so do mine. Go away. And he doesn't take the hint.
Nope.
He just walks off like talking smack. It's so funny. And then, so did you guys get the impression that the dude in the car was waiting for a prostitute?
Yes.
Not just his girlfriend?
No, I thought he was waiting for a prostitute.
I read it as a girlfriend.
He's waiting to buy a whore.
See, he's like, you silly cow, get a wiggly on. And he's like, night won't last forever. Like, what is he waiting for? Is he just waiting out in front of his girlfriend, or is he waiting for a little... I don't know. Maybe that's just me reading into it.
We're reading into it, I think. It probably is his girlfriend.
The way she responded to him and, you've called a cop because you're waiting for me? Yeah. I don't see a prostitute going, hey, you called a cop because I'm running late. Okay.
He'd be like, motherfucker, you called a cop!
Then Kitty's like, oh, Doug Ramsey. I'm like, I don't know. Doug Ramsey wasn't my favorite.
No. But he had a big...
He was New Mutants, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a big, huge to-do with everything that went forward.
Yeah, he could know every language.
He's one that...
Computer or written or spoken.
One of the only ones who could talk to Warlock, who was one of my favorite characters.
And then they become Doug...
That's the squiggly line black
alien
character looking thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was
techno-organic.
Okay.
Yeah, he always said self.
All right. Yeah, I remember him.
And then you get Nightcrawler hitting on Megan.
They're like,
Then they went full TARDIS.
Yeah, full TARDIS. Like the whole house is just like a giant. Yeah, it's hard to describe. Like it's just bigger on the inside.
Yeah.
Creepy guy shows back up, starts picking up on Rachel again.
And they're like, you need to dress more conservatively. And then old Captain Britain's cheating on Megan there.
Yeah, he goes full on cheating on Megan pretty soon.
Let me stick my tongue down your throat. My girlfriend won't care.
And
she's not clingy.
At all.
I understand Kitty has a micro cerebro that she created.
Yeah.
Charles Xavier needed a huge room.
Yep.
She has what is essentially a Star Trek tricorder.
Well, even later on, they use the micro cerebros. And I'm like, how? I thought only a telepath could use the cerebro.
Obviously, it was kind of like one that would pick up just local. Otherwise, we would have found out the X-Men were not dead.
Exactly.
Right. Right. Maybe it just doesn't.
It only had the range of England.
Yeah, there you go.
And Great Britain.
Short range
Short
radio.
range. It wouldn't have been able to find them hiding out in Dallas. Or did they go to Australia after Dallas?
They went to Australia after
They went
Dallas.
to Australia after Dallas. That's where they were hiding out.
Maggot.
That's it. Thank you. Then you get to see a little bit more of Megan being like a child, probably watching Doctor Who, because that's one of her favorite shows. The werewolves show up, beat the crap out of Rachel Summers.
Well, it was Kitty. It's not Rachel. It's
Right.
Kitty dressed like
Kitty
Rachel.
That's right.
Trying to get the werewolves to come out. She did get yelled at by Rachel.
Yep.
Looks like Kitty just lost her powers with these werewolves, or werewolves, or whatever they are, and can't phase. Correct?
Right. Yep. Yeah, because he just slashes her right across the face.
And with these werewolves, they like suck the meaty parts out of you or something and just take your skin as a costume.
Yep.
And these are Mojo's goons?
Yes.
Okay.
They're hunting Rachel to bring her back home. I don't know. This advertisement for Exterminators, I really want to read that book now.
No, you don't.
No? Is it bad?
Yes.
But it looks so good.
That's what the advertisement
Like all the demons sitting across the baby carriage. Like, yep, I kind of want to read that, but nope. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Oh, we got to do Grind Your Gears.
Sorry, I was excited about that.
All right.
I don't know what we're doing.
So, Nick brought up, who was it? It's, we decided, he gave me a villain, I was like, okay, I can see that. And so I decided to create a segment for the show called The Villain That Grinds Your Gears. It can be any villain in any comic book. It doesn't have to be pertaining to
Anything we've read.
anything we've read.
Okay.
But mine happens to pertain to what we've read. I cannot stand Mojo. I hate the Mojoverse. I feel they're like in the X-Men comic books, they're like, okay, we've got Magneto and we're fighting, the Blob and like the Brotherhood of Mutants and got really good deep characters, and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna go lazy here and we're gonna throw you in the Mojoverse for 6 issues. I just cannot stand. There's only, like I said, there's only 2 things good that came out of the Mojoverse. And that's Shatterstar and Phoenix.
And the X-Babies.
No.
Come on.
And I kind of like the Warwolves. They're kind of cool. So that's who grinds my gears is Mojo. How about you, Nick? You told me one the other day.
I don't remember. Who was it?
Black Tom Cassidy.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't grind your gears that bad, though?
No, I just really hate that character. I think I hate the whole Cassidy line.
You don't like Banshee?
Banshee, Siren, Black Tom.
Okay.
Siren was great in Deadpool.
Siren was great in X-Force. She had a drinking problem and
know.
she was Irish and she liked to fight. What is wrong with that?
Stereotyping at all?
Kind of. Like
X-Men was a total stereotype.
name the Irish characters that have problems drinking. All of
Siren.
them. I'm pretty sure Shamrock has a drinking problem.
Okay, so who grinds your gears, Nick?
I'm going to pass this on to Ryan first, and then I'll come back.
Evil
Okay.
Star. I think it's Evil Star or Major Force. I can't decide which one.
Ooh, Major Force.
Major, yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Are those DC?
They are actually Green Lantern villains.
Who
Okay.
started out as a Captain Atom villain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Major Force is best known for the stuffing Kyle Rayner's girlfriend in the refrigerator
Okay.
murder that
Murderer.
took place.
Murderer.
It raised quite a few problems amongst womankind for that, and I fully understand it. But that character he was a big brute. Reminded me a little bit of like an Arnold Schwarzenegger character off of Commando or something. Not a lot to him.
No.
Just boring character to me. And the most exciting thing he did was stuff a lady in a refrigerator.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. If you want to borrow any of those Captain Atom issues where he's in it, he's useless.
Okay, so-
He's a useless character.
I think I'll pass. Strong pass.
Because, they tried to recreate the Captain Atom experiment,
Right.
and he came out, and it was like, this is stupid. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
What grinds my gears? What character, huh?
Does it have to be? I don't think it has to be a villain. It can be a hero too.
All right. Echo. Echo from Daredevil.
Okay.
She's... Do you know who I'm talking about?
The one from Bendis' run.
The one from David Mack and Bendis' run.
Serious? You don't like her?
No. I think she's a knockoff of every kung fu hero ever. She's actually just an opposite of Daredevil. It's like, oh, I'm blind. Well, no, I'm deaf. Like,
but she can mimic
right, but
every movement.
So can Taskmaster. So she's a
Taskmaster
ripoff
was
of
tied up
Daredevil
at the time.
and Taskmaster.
Brawl it out! Brawl it out! Come on!
But she did turn into Ronin.
But so did Hawkeye.
This is why we started. This is the why we started the show right here, guys. Yeah.
Well, Hawkeye started out that way, yeah, sure, but Ronin had to take it over. I mean, I thought it was a fantastic character. Now, again, it's just who grinds our gears. I get it. That's your perspective. It shocks me that would be the one out of
I think
millions of characters.
Okay, so I was working at a comic shop at the time, and I think what it was the annoying characters that would come in, or the customers, and they'd be like, no, they were all characters. Oh my god, there's one guy that would come. I was dating one of the girls that worked with me, and he would come in and he would go through the entire Daredevil storyline from 1960 to current day, just so we could come in and talk to her. So these are the people that I was dealing with. So when Echo came out, all I heard was them, Echo. I'm like, oh my god, you know what? I fucking hate that character now. I hate him. I hate her.
I can see why.
I hate all of them.
I can see why.
Okay, I can understand that.
I feel
personal
unfortunate
thing.
that I
It's
never
like,
worked in a comic shop now because you two both have. So.
No, it's fun as long as you're not involved with anybody that works there.
Yeah, and I'm in the back room, so I pop out every once in a while, give some advice, and then run back to the back and hide in my little cave.
Okay. Do we want to talk about us standing in line to meet Chris Claremont?
We'll do that next.
All right. Well, that's a teaser for next episode, guys. So this has been issue 2 of the Round Robin. I didn't say ramen this time. Round Robin comic book podcast. It's been Kirk.
Nick.
And Ryan.
We'll catch you later, guys. Bye.